So my name is Dr. Shyam Bhat and I'm a trustee at the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation, which was founded by Deepika Padukone in October of 2015 to fight against this epidemic of depression. And we're here today, of course, as you just saw, to exchange an MOU and to form a collaboration with Apollo Hospitals. And so I'd like to thank Dr. Hari Prasad, Apollo Hospitals, Dr. Shrikant, and everybody from Apollo Hospitals for joining us and so that we can work together in beating this epidemic. Just some background, I won't get into statistics again, but basically let's understand that depression is probably the most serious health issue that this country is going to face. And the reasons are already evident. 400 to 500 people commit suicide every day in this country. Most of them are between the ages of 15 and 29. At least 200 million people in this country are depressed and anxious, and that's a conservative estimate. In corporate India, in urban India, the figures may be as high as 30 to 40%. We only have 3,500 psychiatrists in this country for 1.2 billion people. We only have 8,000 psychologists. So there's a clear gap in terms of number of medical professionals who can deal with this problem, and it's a real problem that causes death, morbidity, mortality, and affects the individual, family, relationships, society, productivity. In every way it's hurting our country, our society, and individuals. And to make matters really bad is that when you have such an epidemic, we are ashamed to even talk about it. Imagine if we were having a huge malaria epidemic and we just wouldn't talk about it. Someone's having a fever, we'd say, shh, don't talk about it. Let's just keep this at home. That would be ridiculous. But that is exactly what is happening with depression. It is not a weakness. It is not a belief. It's not an attitude. It is a problem that happens like any other illness when there's a malfunction of an organ, in this case the organ called the brain. And so when a person is feeling depressed, they cannot make themselves think positively because the brain is affected. They need medical treatment. And we cannot be ashamed about it anymore. We have to talk openly about it as doctors and patients, as families, as teachers, as students across society. So the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation was founded first and foremost to decrease the stigma, to decrease the shame, to open up a national conversation about depression so that we can finally acknowledge that this is happening in our country and we can start talking about it. And so when Deepika Padukone first talked about her own depression in March 2015, I think, obviously we all agree that was a very bold, courageous and selfless move. And that made a lot of people stand up and take notice and say, if she can talk about it, maybe I don't have to be ashamed about my depression. Since we have launched the foundation, we have embarked on a few different programs. The first program is called You Are Not Alone. We are reaching out to students and teachers across the country. We have covered more than 12,000 students across the country in 200 plus schools. We are educating them about depression, how to recognize it in themselves, how to recognize it in their friends, what to do when you have depression. We also have the doctors program called Together Against Depression. And the idea is simple, that most people who suffer from depression, most people who commit suicide will never see a psychiatrist, but they will see the general practitioner, they will see a specialist, they will see an internal medicine person, they will see someone in some other specialty. In fact, studies have proven that 80% of those people who kill themselves, who commit suicide, have met with a physician in the 3 weeks prior to their committing suicide. And if that physician was empowered, knew how to diagnose depression and treat it, then we could reduce the incidence of depression and suicide in this country. That's the only way we're going to treat this problem, if all physicians join hands. And so in Together Against Depression, we sensitize doctors, we train them about depression, how to recognize it, how to screen for it, and how to manage it. So I'm really pleased that Apollo Hospitals and the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation is joining hands in this really, I think, worthy cause, something that is going to affect us all and something that needs everyone's involvement if we are going to beat this epidemic. So once again, thank you, Dr. Hari Prasad, Dr. Shrikant, and the CEO and everyone from Apollo Hospitals, and to the press for taking this forward and communicating this really important message to people who may not know that they have depression, but if you're listening, it's time to talk about it, time to seek help. This is a condition that can be treated and be prevented if we join hands. Thank you.